So I was happily working through my list of things to fix to get this vehicle back on the road, and then I spotted the bushes. They're perished. Now, supposedly the MOT only fails if there's movement in there. There's not really any movement, but the condition of them is fairly poor, so it's really worth doing. Fortunately, can't get that nut off. It ain't gonna work. I use the Strat wrench. Normally this works, Strat wrench around here, and then I've had a big spanner and I put an extension on the spanner and it's just rounding the nut. Unfortunately, with that amount of leverage, this can't grip on hard enough. It just rotates on this. This is stretching. The Strat wrench is stretching, so I just can't get enough purchase on that, which is a mighty pain. These, I mean, the end result is, the last case result is I could cut through here with a reciprocating saw and just pull it out of the top. However, these are Koni Raids. I mean, they're past their best, but they're now £250 per shock absorber. So I'd kind of like to preserve them if possible. They're past their best, fair enough, but I'd like to preserve them to at least experience them rather than just destroying them for the sake of a couple of bushes. The other side is not too bad. So I went and bought a nut splitter. Split the nut, hopefully. The threads aren't great, but I think I can run a dye over that to clean them up. Here comes the nut splitter. Oh. So it looks like these studs, or the end of the shock absorber, are longer potentially than a normal Defender shock. There's just about enough space. You can't really even get a spanner underneath it. I did wonder about trying to destroy the bush and try and lever this up a bit. The other option is I cut the tip off this, because I'm never really going to use the end for gripping with an 8mm spanner. It's just such an appalling design. So I might cut the end off here, just the tip below the threads, and then I can get the nut splitter on and then split the nut. Managed to get this in. I had to chop the tip off the bottom there. Chop the tip off, and it's just about cutting through the nut, and I've had to wedge this up with a bar to stop the thing falling, turning off. I managed to get a chunk out of that. Focuses. I've just broken through to the nylock, the blue bit, so you can see there's a chance, but I can't get all the way up because that nut is recessed up into the washer. So that's as high as I can get with the nut splitter. So I'm gonna have to use a cold chisel now, see what that does. Well, that nut splitting's actually allowed me to unscrew this a bit while clamping on the top with the Strat wrench. It's released some of the friction on the nut, which is good. So it's probably going to come off. Well, it was going well, but I've just busted the Strat wrench. So I don't have any other way of gripping this. It's nice now, it's rotating freely. Nice and loose, but that's the end of that. I don't have a hope in hell. It's right at the bottom of the threads. I think that's what's happened. It's got caught up, bound up on the bit that I've been, where it got cut. So it's been a week to this point since I started buying the bits. I'm going on holiday in 2 days, so I'm not going to be able to do this again for another. Well, I can't. This Strat wrench won't come in time. So that's the end of that for probably another week. So this is what happened. Broke the Strat wrench. So now I'm going to have to try the nut splitter again. I've had to massacre the entire washer. I'm going to see if I can get the nut splitter further up, because it's the washer that's been preventing that getting up. I've been hacking this away. It's just going so slow. We're at the stage now where I've gone through the nut entirely vertically, and now if I hit it on the right hand side of the nut, hopefully it will split open. back with something that works. See the nut? It's more or less all the way off now. I've been able to chisel down the side and the whole shock has not been turning, so the nut's coming off. Ho ho! You beauty, look at that. That's some good cutting. That hopefully has not destroyed the thread so much. But the benefit of at least unscrewing it off is that it will sort of clean and chase out the threads a bit before putting the next one back on. It is a little buggered up, but if the nut came off, then we can get another one on. Shock absorber's finally out. I'm just going to wrap this up now. The threads have come out pretty good, and I can actually thread a nut onto the bottom here. It goes on quite nicely. The thread in itself, a little bit ground down on there, but on the whole it works. I've tested this with bushes and there is enough space on the bottom to be able to get this over with two threads showing, so it's worked out alright in the end. Funnily enough, here's the bush from the top, underneath the top of the turret in there. It's brand new, or it looks brand new, compared to the one on the top side. It's a bit corroded and it's actually sort of stuck itself to the washers a bit. Replacing these on Coney Raids, 30 quid per shock absorber, so 60 quid for 8 bushes. I don't really want to spend that. I've got the sort of standard size poly bushes, which are they're same as a standard Defender, but they're a lot smaller. I'm not going to be off-roading this. I just need the bushes replaced. So yeah, this shock is about probably 18 years old, I would have thought. And look at that. Pretty damn shiny. Still works. And the seal looks good there. No leakage at all. So I'm glad I've saved this. I'll be able to give it a new lease of life. And here is the final tally of broken tools. So I broke the strap wrench. Basically this bit, the fat end on here, busted out. So I tried to bodge this, or try to find a way to get it to hold in. You put it through and twist it round. That doesn't work. There is a way you can use a bit of pipe and basically feed this into the pipe and have a little loop out the end and use that as a strap wrench, but it's not long enough to feed all the way through, so I couldn't do that. I did buy another strap wrench in the end, but it wasn't required because I had to chisel the nut off in the final throws. This nut splitter, Hilker one, cost about 13 quid. It's now busted because of it just rotates. So there's a little grub screw here and that has sheared off inside, so this just rotates around. So I actually used it twice on basically two tightenings, and I mean, it has severely blunted the end of it, so I would treat these as almost disposable. But I'm not worried. It did get me part of the way, but it wasn't the final thing that helped out in the end. It was worth a try, but naturally, because the nut's recessed in the washer, you can only get this up, you know, about halfway on the nut. So it wasn't really that effective in the end. It was the reciprocating saw that did most of the work. And then the high lift jack was useful to bring the chassis up, so they could actually fit this in between the springs. You wouldn't be able to do that otherwise. And there is the final shock bush on the vehicle, all done. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.